at the very top, the sun. Okay, so you can see pretty quickly maybe that this cave image corresponds to the divided line. Images, things, maybe mathematical objects, and the idea of the good, or the forms themselves. It roughly corresponds. Now, Socrates puts this into a drama. And he first says, okay, those prisoners down at the bottom of the cave, they're like us. And that's perplexing. How are we like prisoners? He says, we are bound to see, our natural condition is bound to see images of things. And we might ask us, what are the chains that bind us to seeing things as they are? What are those chains? That's something to reflect on. The chains that prevent us from looking at the truth of things. Vanity, fear, pride, undue attachment. So many things in our nature that attach us to the things that we think we know are true and prevent us from making the turn. So Socrates asks us to imagine what it would be like if someone's chains were broken and they were forced to turn around and make their way up to the next level of the cave. My students often sympathize with this experience because this is what it feels like in the classroom. I'm dragging them away and up into the light. What's that experience like? When you're in a dark room and someone flips on the light, it hurts, it's painful. But the pain is not a bad pain because it's better to be in light than to be in dark. But sometimes a reaction is to want to stay in the dark. But this is more dramatic than that because it's not just sensory, it's also mental. The images on the wall were the whole picture of reality for the prisoner up to this point. And now he sees that that image was not quite accurate or correct, that there's something deeper behind reality than the things he's accustomed to looking at. A point I want to make about this is that Socrates beautifully describes education as a breaking of the chains and a turning of the soul. That's a language you use. All education is turning. It's not putting knowledge into a brain that's not there. It's turning the interior of the soul so it can see correctly. What a beautiful image for education. And this image, by the way, is an image of education, of liberal education. And to add one more thing, our very word, education, is from this image in Plato's Republic, educere, to lead out from the cave. So the prisoner is dragged into the next level and sees the next level of people holding these images and casting the shadows on the wall. They are the image makers. Image makers. Who are the image makers? Who are the image makers in our own culture? Think about it. I assume that you've seen commercials before. How do they work? Image makers. They cast images, the nice car, the nice clothing, the nice deodorant product, casting images into our souls to do what? To help us reimagine reality a different way and to then desire those things that are being cast. How about musicians? The songs we listen to, the movies we watch. Think at a deeper level about the very language we use. And then I want you to think about this. How deeply our contact with reality is mediated by the images we've gotten. Our very first experience of an apple that we remember was probably accompanied by the word apple. A word that mediated our whole conception of what an apple is. And when you see an apple, some of you might think immediately of the story of the fall in Genesis. You bring to it all kinds of things that are not immediate. So Plato wants to suggest, or Socrates, I'll say, wants to suggest to us that all of knowledge, in some sense, involves interpreting reality through images. But then the question is, do the image makers actually know enough to make the images? What is the goal? Do we want these prisoners to see reality?
Steven here says, I'm so glad I didn't skip that YouTube ad because my last check from Audible was life-changing.